Good afternoon and welcome to the 5th episode of Powered by You. My name is Zino and I'm your host. In this episode, we'll be talking about the importance of having soft skills and how they can improve quality of life. This topic is not highlighted as it should be, but hopefully today's episode will be giving you something to think about. Today, I'm joined with Hannah, who's a programs manager for a social enterprise called 2 to 3 Degrees. And I'm also joined with Serena, who's a local member from the community. Thank you both for joining.
Thanks for having me.
How are you?
Doing well. It's been a busy day, but it's better than being bored, so.
Bored, yeah. Is it the end or is it coming, or are you just starting?
Wow, it's of the day. I'd say it's midday, so, you know, a lot of stuff prepared for the rest of the day, but for the rest of the week also busy, so yeah, can't complain.
All right. What about yourself, Serena? How you been?
Yeah, good. Just mostly chilled for the first part, but I'll be busy after this.
How busy?
Just work.
Okay, at least you're being productive.
Yeah.
So, do you know why we're here today?
To discuss soft skills.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully there's, I feel like there is some sort of gap when we think about soft skills. Not many people know what soft skills are, the importance of it, how it can contribute to your daily lifestyle, and is there something that we need to address about it?
Definitely.
So that's what essentially we're coming here to talk about. I've spoken to Hannah previously. She's from a local social enterprise.
Yeah.
2 to 3 Degrees. We've spoke once or twice, but if you can give me a description of what you do or what is 2 to 3 Degrees in a nutshell.
Sure. So hi everyone, I'm Hannah. I'm a program manager at 2 to 3 Degrees. We're a social enterprise that exists basically to help young people be the best versions of themselves. So we do that through delivering workshops, programs, and various events to, basically help young people with personal development, soft skills kind of development, but also in terms of employability and community voice. So ensuring that as a young person, you're valued in your community, but also you value yourself.
Wow, brilliant. If only this existed when back in my day. I'm not old, but I'm just, thinking I could have benefited from something like this. It sounds really great. What kind of so you said young people, what age range does that include?
Yeah, so in terms of like the European Commission, they define a young person between, I think it's basically up until 30 years old. So it's quite a broad term, but then some people consider like a young person as someone who's, a teenager or a young adult. So it's really difficult to like get the right terminology, but that's generally what I mean, people under 30 years.
Right. That should be the case, isn't it? 30 years old. And when you said European Commission, all that came into my mind was Brexit.
Oh, let's not go on that one.
So does that even count now? Can we even go? So that's so many questions that are involved in it. There's different things changing, policies getting shaped as we speak. But 30 years old should be, I think, an appropriate term to give a young adult, was it classification, would you say? Classify them as young adult? Yeah. So what kind of programs do you offer?
Well, we've done loads of different programs, and obviously with COVID kind of just being a decent recent memory, we used to do a lot of workshops online, but now we're kind of transitioning back to kind of face-to-face stuff. So we've got a variety of different programs that Serena, I'm sure, can speak about one of them because she's been on them before. So she's definitely a go-to person on this side. But in terms of employability and personal development, we run programs all across London and the UK to support young people up until 30 years old. Some of them that we've got is called Mastering My Future, which is something that Serena was involved with. So Serena can tell you a little bit more about that.
Mastering My Future, I feel like it was like lots of like insight days. You got to go to like different companies like Addison Lee, Cause, I was like a fashion brand company. Also, you got to go to you got to go to like so many different companies. You get to experience many different things. You get to see like the different areas that you can go to in a business. You get to network with so many people. You get to meet lots of new people. Like I have so many new friends now from the 2 to 3 Degrees, and I've got work experience from going to 2 to 3 Degrees. It's like so good.
Yeah, I think when Hannah said employability and personal development, we've all heard employability. There's so many things going on around employability, but when you said personal development, it just something was like, oh, that's different, and you don't hear it as often. And sometimes I think that's where that's the area we neglect,
Yeah, definitely.
unfortunately. So what does that entail? So when you say we offer some stuff around personal development, that could mean anything.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And it's kind of an interchangeable word. So some people use like soft skills, some people use personal development. Yeah, so you can use both, but they're both mean the same thing. And I'll give you like a little bit of a story to basically describe why we exist and why we do these kind of things.
Sure.
So, for example, personally, went to university, got the kind of academic qualifications, but then left and realised that in the working world, there's so many different skills, attributes, and kind of ways that you should conduct yourself in a professional environment. And a lot of the time, these aren't things that you get taught at school or university or college. They're kind of things you just figure out going through life. So, I think having kind of these personal development programs or soft skills workshops are really good because it helps you kind of think you can't just get ahead by being academically intelligent and, book smart. You have to be street savvy. You have to, understand yourself and understand other people. And that's what it's all about, really.
Yeah, 100%. It's easy to talk about, and it sounds great to say I'm working on personal development, but then does it actually come into effect? That's the thing. It's sometimes people do try, and something goes wrong, and they don't end up following through with that skill set. It doesn't get perfected, and sometimes simple stuff as time management, like you said, going to places on time, having that confidence. It's just you don't get taught it, like you mentioned. But then, when would you be able to work on those skills? And sometimes the element of being on time, can you really teach someone that, or is it just something that we've been doing throughout our whole life since we go to school? We've been taught how to go to class on time. We have lunch time, we have break time, home time, but something along those lines, people still tend to be late for certain things. So that's what I'm thinking. Even people who are adults, I think, tend to have this. I know we're talking about soft skills just for young people for now, or young adults for this episode, but I'm sure this is an area that impacts people older than 30 years old, unfortunately. I don't know if you could say the same, but I know for sure working within a community setting, that can be a solid grounds to even to look into. And obviously when we spoke, you mentioned you're doing work in the south of the borough. So because I work around the community, cover both north and south. So when you said I'm doing some work around Youth Voice in, was it the Earls Court
area?
So that would be the south of the borough. How was that? How are you finding that experience so far with interaction? And that's how with it want to ask you about the soft skills. Have you noticed anything?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So far we're kind of gearing up for the launch of the Earls Court Future Programme, and just to kind of give a bit of detail on what that is. We're working with the Earls Court Development Company, or called ECDC, to basically shape the future of the Earls Court site. And the site, spans across RBKC and Hammersmith and Fulham. So it's for young people who are in both boroughs, basically to say, actually, there's an empty site with nothing there. How can we get young adults' voices to shape the future of it? Because they're going to be the ones who are, going to be the ones who are spending the most time there, who are going to potentially be the employers of the officers there, who might live in that community. It's really important to get their perspectives, because traditionally young people or young adults don't necessarily engage in the planning system and with community engagement. So going to full council meetings or knowing 100% what is going on in your area.
100%.
I think personally I'm really passionate about it, because I think it's an amazing opportunity for local young people to shape the future of their area. But in order to help them get to that stage in terms of soft skills and personal development, some people might not feel confident enough to voice their opinions. They might not have the communication skills to articulate their thoughts and feelings as effectively as they want to. So within that kind of, youth voice, community voice, we want to provide them with that personal development, soft skills development. Do you want to work on your communication? Great, let's work on it. We'll support you with that.
Yeah, so right now it's currently happening as we speak.
It's happening. It's very much happening.
Right. So far so good, I'm assuming. And what is the? So we know the importance of having a community voice, like you said. The only thing is, how would you persuade someone to go ahead and partake in voicing their opinion, shaping their quality of life, essentially? You've been given the opportunity to see how things will map out in the next 5-10 years, or even longer than that, because I'm sure this development isn't going to be here for just a year. It's going to be here for a long-term duration.
Absolutely.
So I would say, what kind of techniques do you go for to persuade people, to drag them in, to say, this will benefit you to take part in this? Because I think a lot of young people, I don't know if Serena could say something about this, that sometimes they just are not interested in certain things, or they're not bothered, or they rather go see their friends, and they think to themselves, it doesn't matter. It's just I've got better things to do.
You're totally right.
You know, what do you think? Do you think that's
I feel
the
like
case?
that's sometimes the case, but I feel also like when people see like what other people are doing, and they see like, oh wow, look what she's doing. She went to this, she went to that, and oh, she's getting up there. That's what I did with for me. I like attended these events, and then I saw like, oh look what they're doing for other people, and I would say like, I'd go to my friends and I'd be like, look at this thing that they're doing for us, come join. It's like, I feel like it's like, once they see what's going on, they'd rather come do it, because they know in the future it's going to benefit them. So yeah.
Okay, right. So what do you think, Serena, in terms of what's your opinion about having an involvement in a project like this and being able to speak your mind? How would you persuade others, or even how did you get into it yourself? What made you want to take part?
So like, I saw it in school and I was thinking, oh, what do I have to lose? Because I feel like with COVID, it was really hard to like gain experience, because nobody was doing anything. And I saw this, I was like, do you know what? I might as well do it. I have nothing to lose, so let me just try it and see what happens. So I told my friends about it. We all went to like different events, and I got to like see, and I was like, you know what? This is really good. Like, I'm gaining experience. I'm developing my soft skills. I can just go to a few more events. I even told my friends, like, come along, do it, because you know what, you're not losing out on anything. You're gaining so much from it. And I was just like, yeah.
I feel motivated that you said that now, But that sounds like you're a good friend. Like you're someone who's like got good energy, and you actually try to amplify that. You don't, like they say, if you're a negative person, your friends are going to be negative as well, and they're going to be like, it'll be like a chain effect. But with you, I reckon, because you got such a good vibe, you're more likely to get people on board as well.
Yeah.
But out of the people that you asked, did everyone say yes, or did some say no? Like, to keep, you know what I mean? Because right now I was thinking, I know for a fact I can bring my friends a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
And I could say confidently, I can ask 10, not all 10 will say yes.
Yeah.
Like reality comes into play, and some will be like, that's just long.
Yeah.
See, now you're laughing because that's the case,
No,
so have you come across that? So some have said or is it all of them have said?
No, not all of them. So at first I only asked a few, and then I was like, let's just see how it goes. And then when we saw like, this is great, we asked a few more. A few came, a few didn't want to come, because but you know what, it's nothing to lose. But
yeah, that's the thing. And the thing is, they'll never tell you the actual reason why. They'll just say, I'm doing something, or it's just I'm not really interested. But then when you say what is the reason, they'll just escape the question altogether. So that's why I want to really ask, in terms of, do you think there's a gap between capturing community sentiments and young adults? Do you think that gap is soft skills?
Yeah, I feel like maybe, because I think soft skills is like experience. I think it's the experience that you can gain. So I think maybe they don't feel like they have that experience, so they don't want to they're not as confident. They don't want to join in the community talks. They don't want to like get involved, share their opinion. So I think like if they had more soft skills, then they would be more willing to join in, have those conversations that need to be had.
So that's some people just a bit nervous as well. Do you think, have you come across people with soft skills but are still not interested, or is that very rare for you to come across? I
feel like once you've done what you need to do, and you've got what you have, gained those experiences, then I feel like people will want to join in, because they know they have what they need to join in. But
what do you think, Hannah? What's your opinion on that?
Well, I think Serena made a point earlier about saying how she invited her friends and things like that, and you asked like how many actually came, kind of thing. it reminds me of a saying that's like, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with. So if you sit and like let that sink in and think about it, it can give you a massive indication of like, check yourself and like where you're at, and like, okay, if the average 5 people I spend time with don't go to these kind of events, you know, don't really know what they want to do in the future, or maybe they're a bad influence on you and like, you know, do get some things they shouldn't be doing, you're going to probably be like them. So it's like putting a mirror up to yourself and being like, how do I want to show up to the world? Like, how do I want to present myself? And I think, just Serena made that a really good point, because she was not only elevating herself, but wanting to elevate other people. And that's what personal development is all about. It's about bringing yourself up, but also not leaving people behind and bringing them on the journey with you.
100%. I think that's something that we all need to actually consider and take in and let it sink in. So I know we've been talking about soft skills for a good moment now, but then I'm thinking to myself, those who are watching might think, what are soft skills, or what does it consist of?
Yeah, sure. So I see soft skills as like a set of attributes that you have, which kind of denotes your kind of personal demeanor and how you show up. So for example, a soft skill would be confidence or resilience, or, you know, like those kind of things are generally soft skills, whereas the more hard skills are like, for example, good at Excel or Photoshop or things like that. They're hard skills, they apply to a specific thing, whereas soft skills are interchangeable. You don't have to, you know, it'd be good if everyone was like resilient, so that if they are, you know, face failure or difficult times, they can pick themselves back up.
Yeah, that's true. So out of the soft skills that are currently existing, how would you rank them if you had to say most important to the least important?
I think this question's interesting, personally, because I don't think you can rank them. That's my opinion. Serena might think differently, so we're coming back to you in a minute.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
In my opinion, I feel like the world is completely different and diverse, and everyone has certain attributes or skills that they're good at. And so in soft skills, I'm quite good at communication. I like working as a team, that kind of thing. Whereas you could speak to someone and they're like very much independent. They don't like communicating with others, and they're much like more confident just working independently. That shows an example of like different people are better at different roles. So I think having that diversity allows, like, when people do work together, you can have like bounce off of each other's ideas. And like even in this room now, like, we're some really creative people who are putting this together.
100%.
I would not be able to do that. So it's really great to kind of bring people with different skill sets together, because it makes it just interesting. The world would be boring if we were all the same. So I don't think we can rank them in a nutshell, because I think all skills are equally important, depending on what you're doing as well.
That makes so much sense, the way you mentioned how you can't take one and rank them. But what do you think? What's your opinion, Surya? I want to hear from you.
I feel like there is like, you can't really rank them, but I also do think like a top 3 that like are needed and necessity. I think communication, I think that's key. Everyone needs to communicate. You could be an independent person, but you still need to communicate with others. I also think networking, that's good, because I feel like you need the connections. You need to know people. You need to do all this stuff to get where you want to go. And then I also think time management is another one that's really important, because you need to show up. You need to be on time.
Okay. Do you believe or think that you can find an individual that has every soft skill?
Probably not, but I feel like you can find like a glimpse of it in maybe a person, and they can develop it over time, maybe.
Okay, what do you think about? Have you ever come across someone that has a complete set of soft skills?
Definitely not. No. I mean, even myself, like, there's certain things that I know I'm very strong at and I'm good at, and even then I feel like it's a continual like learning process. You think, I'm really great at communicating, but when it comes down to maybe public speaking to over under thousands of people, I might struggle doing that. And most people might. So it's all about that elevation and continual like growth process, I guess. So I don't think anyone has it all figured out, and if you think you have, I think you're wrong. There's always room for improvement.
100%. So that's the thing. How would you improve your soft skills? So that would be the lead-on question to that. How would you recommend to improve on soft skills? Because that's something we think should be instilled within us, keeping track of time, communicating. But unfortunately, that's not always the case. We have our strengths and weaknesses, and sometimes we don't even acknowledge them until someone says that, oh, you're not good at this, you're not good at that. But then once there's no positivity in someone telling you that you lack a certain soft skill or whatever attribute it might be, but then they're not giving you a solution for it.
Yeah.
If you know what. So what would it be? What would the solution be to improve soft skills? For example, if you're not good at communicator.
I feel like, turning up to these events like what 2 to 3 degrees do, I feel like that's a good way to like develop your soft skills, because you're out there, you're pushing your boundaries, you're meeting new people, you get to develop them. You do it unconsciously because you're in a new environment, new people. You have to like learn how to do it. So it's just like, yeah, going to these events, doing these things is gonna help to develop it unconsciously.
Okay, all right, fair enough. That's a good description. Hopefully, I'm sure 2 to 3 degrees have been like changing a lot of lives recently. But I'm thinking about those who are hard to reach as well. Like, what are the barriers? Because we know, okay, there are certain workshops in place, certain interventions that you could apply that would support in developing your soft skills.
Yeah.
But then what if you get someone who has anxiety, or someone who has a low self-esteem or lack of confidence? That's something that is deep rooted, So have you come across anyone like that you're trying to support?
Yeah, definitely. I can speak about it from a personal perspective as well. Like,
Yeah,
I think we should, all be open about mental health and
100%.
accept that, everyone's different and everyone copes with things in different ways.
Yeah.
So as long as you have that understanding at a base level, it always helps you to understand other people. So in terms of my like personal perspective, I used to really struggle with like anxiety, and even the idea of like being on a podcast would scare me so much.
You're doing well so far, just to let you know.
Thank you so much. It would have, a few years ago, if you would have said to me like, you're gonna do a podcast or do a public speaking event for over hundreds of people, I would have looked at you and think, who are you talking about? Like, is that me? But yeah, here we are now, and I don't think that anything can be a barrier unless you really want it to be. So it's all about, in my opinion, like accepting the fact that you might have anxiety, or you might have depression, or you might have something that is hindering you from getting what you want. But for me, it's all about like developing yourself and being like, it's the small wins. Like, okay, do you know what? Today I spoke to someone new, and that is great. Like for somebody else, I might be like, okay, I do that on the daily, but for somebody else, that's a massive achievement. So it's all about taking it into consideration about the individual, where you want to go, and making small steps towards that. And I think the way that you can kind of get around these barriers is by putting yourself out there. And it's so much easier said than done, like saying, oh, just go to these workshops, just go to these events. But even if you decide, actually, my anxiety is too bad right now, I'm going to go on YouTube and like watch a video there. You're still upskilling yourself. You're still working towards that goal. It's just in a different way.
Yeah.
There's no conventional route of bettering yourself or growing. It's all linear. Like, it's different for the person. So yeah, I think in a nutshell, I would say just everyone's on their own journey. If you decide that this isn't the path for you, but is for somebody else, that's absolutely okay. As long as you're moving in the right direction, and you check yourself and be like, actually, I'm proud of what I've done. Like, this is a win for me.
Yeah, as long as you're moving forward, it doesn't matter what pace you're doing it at.
Absolutely.
So that's something for a lot of people to consider, because some may have the desire to just completely like zoom through life and watch other people do things at their own rate and think I should be the same as well.
Yeah.
When you did say that everyone's different, everyone's unique, we can't compare ourselves for every single thing. That you can compare in a healthy way, and think, how can I improve, or how is this person can help me improve. But if you're competing in a way that could be a bit unhealthy, and you're thinking I should be where they are, and because I'm not, then I'm gonna feel a lack of confidence because of that, then that's not you're not really helping yourself in that case. But with you seem confident, so I don't think this is an issue for you in terms of having that hesitancy when approaching certain things, certain tasks, certain obstacles in life, or being asked to, speak, for example. Timekeeping, you came on time today, just about. So yeah, do you think you've seen your circle of friends have some hesitancy but you know that you've tried to fix it, or you've actually successfully done so?
Yeah, I feel like even with me, even though I seem like confident, I just have to I feel like I just have to push my boundaries, like my barriers, just to like get to where I want to go. Because I feel my friends as well, they also sometimes they're not as confident, but then if you go as a group or as like a couple of people, then you feel more secure, I guess. You want to push your boundaries more, and then once you push them, you're like, oh, okay, I can do this on my own. I don't have to be with all these people at the same time. I can just do it on my own now, because they feel like more comfortable with themselves. So, yeah.
Okay, so you'd start with a group of friends,
Yeah.
and then you feel comfortable that you could detach yourself away.
Yeah.
So what kind of message would you want to give someone who doesn't have that group of friends to begin with? What would you say if they're like a lone wolf?
Yeah.
They're very much anti-social. They keep themselves to themselves. They don't want to be, they're very much drama-free. They choose to be at peace.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what would you say to that person?
I feel like I would say to them, at the end of the day, if you're by yourself, you've been by yourself for most of the time. So there's no harm in like going by yourself, doing everything by yourself, because at the end of the day, you're doing this for yourself. You want to push yourself, so do it for yourself. Go out and do everything you want to do.
I'm going to ask you, have you ever thought about doing motivational speaking?
Yeah. Definitely.
Definitely, I can see you doing it. Like, really good. Like, I think there's these kind of things that we kind of need to hear, and we don't really value the people around us, especially if they come with positive influences as well. But then when we look at people who are forthcoming and those who are not forthcoming, would you say it's which number is greater? Those who are forthcoming that you see a lot of, or is it majority those who are not forthcoming?
I guess I think it kind of depends. I think a lot of it is not necessarily like a specific group, like, oh, these people are not forthcoming or these people are forthcoming. I think a lot of it is about like, the intersectional aspect of it, but also access to relatable role models. A lot of people who have access to relatable role models who think like, I could be like, a presenter on BBC, I can be a neurological scientist, whatever you want to be. Having a role model who maybe looks like you or comes from a similar background to you is always going to inspire you to go in that direction. And if you feel like there aren't people who occupy that space that you want to occupy, you're going to feel like it's not for you, if that makes sense. So I feel like it's not really about like being forthcoming or not, because some people don't realize that they're not being forthcoming.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
No, that makes sense, because you're telling me about how the process normally works, but then I'm thinking to myself, I'm hearing all these new terminologies about Gen Z and all these things, and everyone's glued to their phones now, and I'm thinking to myself, does that hinder your soft skills, your ability to interact with others, if you're constantly just all you know is social media, or just not you're not talking to no one? Sometimes you go into households that you see at the dinner table, everyone's down on the phone, no one's saying a word to each other, and it would be a bit, I don't know, you'd think if that's how it is at home, where it's meant to be a lively environment, everyone's easy speaking to each other comfortably, I wonder what it's like outside in a social setting, for example. And sometimes I think to myself, that's why I did ask, is it the majority we're looking at that are happy to engage, are willing to give their sentiment forward, or is it the minority that we're looking at? So I think I don't know how old exactly between the 18 to 30 age range you are, but I would say like you're obviously familiar with social media.
Yeah.
Right. Are you deeply indulged in it, or do you keep like a healthy boundary between the time that you are on your phone? Because once you go on your phone, you're zoned out.
Yeah.
Right. People walk the streets and they're on their phone. They did trip up and stuff like that. So how do you conduct yourself whilst like trying to manage yourself with having a life outside of the phone?
Yeah.
So you can grow as a person. You can see people right in front of you.
Yeah.
You could read emotion. You could tell if someone is feeling excited or uncomfortable. You could read body language. So all these things play a big role. But if you're always down and looking down, and you don't look up, your senses around you are desensitized, right? So how would you describe about your own experience?
I feel like I am guilty. I am on my phone quite a bit, but also I make a conscious effort to like talk to people. Like I'll put my phone down occasionally and talk to people, because like there are still people around you. But I also think that you can like social media is like a network in itself. Like you can talk to people. Like LinkedIn, that's a big like what's it called? It's a big like platform where people can like talk, you meet people. So I feel like even though you're not as conscious to the things around you, you're still like communicating with people. You're not closed off from the whole world all the time.
What do you think, Des?
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I actually kind of agree. Like, I feel like social media and the internet and all that kind of the growth of it in the past, like, few years had more so, you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm a bit old. But I think in that sense, it's a blessing and but also a curse at the same time.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Because through kind of the pandemic and things like that, social media and the internet and that kind of way was the main reason of communication for most people. And without it, so many people would have been like so lonely. And I know a lot of people were, regardless of having that that infrastructure in place. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's definitely a blessing and a curse, because people can spend so much time on it that it consumes every aspect of their life. Exactly. Or you have like a balance like Serena, and you're spending time on your phone, but also recognizing there is a world outside of your phone. So yeah, I think it's a bit of both. It depends on how you manage yourself, but yeah. That's
true, because when you said work from home, that just also brought back memories of lockdown, because a lot of people that had jobs that enabled them to do it from home, they automatically just had to set up a computer or a laptop, and then they would have their computer there, and then their phone was always just by the side. So if it wasn't the screen, it would be the phone. If not the phone, it's the screen. And then you got your TV, and then it's constantly just looking into something. And then it just made me think, when you're working from home, it eliminates the element of time management to a certain extent, because you don't need to be at the office. Some people you've seen a lot of memes online where people just end up wearing their pajamas whilst they're on Teams. They're having their, so stuff like this, like when you are pre-pandemic, people would have to plan appropriately to shower, get dressed, figure out if they're going to get the train or the bus, how long it's going to take. But since the COVID pandemic happened, it's almost like, I start at 9, I wake up at 8:59, I'm ready to go. I just log into the Teams meeting. Yeah. But so that element of time management, I think, kind of just removes itself, if you know what I mean. So I think some certain situations in life, they either boost your soft skills or they just diminish them.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like in a few years' time, we're only going to be able to know the impact of how, COVID and lockdown and, working from home, what's become the norm now, has impacted us, and like socially, and like, also how we show up in ourselves. I think, it's going to be super interesting to find out like what has shifted over the next couple of years as a result of what is happening now and what has happened.
Did you work from home?
I do now. I still work from home now. So
how's the time management? Do you leave at 8:59 or?
No, I'm actually a massive early bird. I'm up at like 7 o'clock in the morning. Like,
even though you're working from home?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, I don't know. I've always been a morning person, really. Like, catch me at 10 o'clock, absolutely fast asleep. I like sleep. I like to get a good amount of hours. So, early bird me.
What about you, Serena? Can you relate, or are you complete just living a chilled out life?
No, I feel like to an extent, like I won't be like up early, but I will.
What's early for you? Go on.
6.
6 a.m. is early. Yeah. Right. Okay.
But I'll say 7's all right.
Okay.
But I feel like I won't be up early. Like if I know I need to be at a time, I'll make the time to be ready and like feel prepared within myself to do something. But I won't like be up from like overly prepared for something. Yeah. What would you overly prepare for? I'd probably overly prepare for like school trip. Okay. I would like prepare from like the night before. Actually, I do that quite a lot. I prepare from the night before so I can have more sleep in the morning. So yeah. Okay, that's see, I think these things, if we just do it in our daily life, just to make sure that every day that we make it count,
you know, and not every day is going to count, obviously. Some days you're going to have some lazy days, some days you're going to, but you'd want the majority of days to be positive, I suppose.
Definitely.
Yeah, wow. Do you know what? I think I've had really good discussion talking to you both about the soft skills and how they can improve our personal demeanor, I guess, moving forward in life. Also, I think recruiters would also, they would tell you, so in terms of, we have interviews and they say, what are your strengths and weaknesses? What should you not say in terms of, this is my weakness, I'm bad at time management? Or, because sometimes you could say, I'm maybe, I don't know, sometimes people say, I don't have a weakness.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the worst. I've been on hiring panels before, with different roles and stuff like that. And I remember I had someone once say to me, like, so what is your weakness? Like, and like, my weakness is I care too much. I work too hard. And I was like, sure.
Give it a rest.
Like, sure. But like, it just comes across as a bit fake. So I wouldn't recommend saying
So how
that.
honest should you be? Should you be like, I am so terrible at timekeeping? And then you're like, oh, you know what? You're so honest that we'll give you the job. Please arrive on time tomorrow.
I guess it depends what the job is. Like,
but any job has to have, by default, you're gonna have to need that timekeeping element.
I agree. So I guess, definitely in terms of time management, I would advise not saying like, I'm terrible at time management.
What about if you say I'm a terrible communicator?
Again, I think the word terrible, it's like, if it was you're communicating with me now, and that person would be communicating with the interviewer. But
it's a weakness.
So.
Okay, you wouldn't use the word terrible. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but if you just say communication is a weakness for me. As an employer, you'd hear that, you'd think, I don't want this person on my team. He's going to sink my ship instead of helping me go further and reach targets. How would you respond if someone goes to you, what are your weaknesses? So you spoke about your strengths. Yeah. You're great. And they say, all right, what's something that you would say you'd work on or you need to be working on?
Yeah, I feel like I wouldn't say it's like a weakness. I would say like I could develop this more, so it feels like I have like room to improve. So I'd say,
which is,
I'd probably say I could improve on my.
You're so perfect. No. You can't think of nothing.
No, I could probably improve on my teamwork. Maybe being a team player, because sometimes I just want to take the lead, and
Okay, that's good. That's a good way of putting it. It sounds a bit like you would want to be taking charge, but you wouldn't say that you're sabotaging yourself. Yeah. That's it. I think there's a lot of things like this young adults need to hear about. If we go in an interview and the panel ask you a question and they say, what's your weakness? And you just shoot yourself in the foot. And you just lost yourself a good position that you could have had if you answered properly.
Yeah. I guess it's all about researching the role, like, you know, what are they looking for? If they're clearly looking at someone who is an excellent communicator, don't say you're a terrible communicator.
Even though you are.
Even though you are, I would just
keep it a secret until they find out.
Just avoid it for now. Try and focus on like the positives, as you say.
Sign the contract, then tell them I'm not good at communicating. No, don't do that.
No, I wouldn't
that's terrible.
No.
But I think is there anything else you would want to cover about soft skills you feel that we haven't touched upon?
Question, maybe for you, like, what do you think? You asked Serena, like, what do you think is your area that you could improve on? What about yourself?
Okay.
Put you in the hot seat now.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting you to ask me a question, but I'll go ahead and answer it. I would say for me, something that I would like to improve on is to empower the whole team to work in synergy. Because sometimes we do get carried away as a team. We drift away, and sometimes we need that reminder to bring us back together. And we don't know whose responsibility that is, and sometimes it's just left to be no one.
Oh yeah. That's
so
a good
for
point.
me, I'd say constantly reminding myself just to bring back the team together. Call it a team. They call it a team for a reason. But a team doesn't mean it's going to be rainbows every day, sunshine. It's going to be tough times, it's going to be good times. You're going to go through hardship, obstacles, and you need that strong captain, I suppose, that would be providing reassurance and comfort,
and direction as well.
So that's, I think, need to give myself area to work on.
I love that. That's good. Good answer.
I practiced. You see, so Anything from your side?
Not really, but it's
What's your journey now? What's your journey looking like? So are you still with 2 to 3 degrees or?
yeah, I am with 2 to 3 degrees. Like I just do a lot of more insight days, but now I'm moving on to like work experience as well. Doing more work experience, and like they do offer a like mentor program as well to like help you to develop your skills as well. So I feel like that's quite good.
What's your ambition, if you don't mind me asking?
What I want to do.
Yeah. Like, what's your, like, do you dream? Do you have dreams?
I have dreams.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, I just want to, live my life. But also I want to do like marketing, PR, maybe recruitment as well. I feel like I just want to do a good job, get good money, and live a good life.
That's it.
Good for you.
Yeah, of course. Why not? The sky's the limit, as long, I think it's rare for young adults to know what they want to do and work towards it sometimes. And there's nothing wrong with that, not knowing what you want to do, because life is not restricted to one thing only. You could change your mind. You can try PR and be like, this isn't me.
Mm-hmm.
That's not working. And you can try another career path. But for you to start on something in general, because sometimes I've come across some people that do know what they want to do, and some just reply with, I don't know. And that's when you say, I don't know, and you ask them, well, what is your interest? And they say, we don't really have anything that I can think of at the moment. Then you start to get a little bit into tricky territory, because you're trying to figure the person out. You got to push them, motivate them. But in your case, I reckon you already have some sort of sense of direction. And just make sure your friends are also like, in the same boat as well. I think you lot are doing a good job.
Thank you. And you,
Serena.
Zino.
Thank you. Well, I think we've covered everything in terms of soft skills. I really do hope who are listening to this podcast do actually absorb some of this conversation and take a moment to think about it, and possibly just, start considering change if they need it. We're not perfect. That's one thing I keep saying over and over again. There's always room for self-improvement.
Yeah, absolutely.
It can start any time, so why not start now?
Never a good time to start.
Yeah. But apart from that, it's been great. Thank you both for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
hopefully I'll see you lot around. You lot in the local area, because
We're not going anywhere. Don't worry.
Exactly. So also, is there anything else you want to add on before we wrap up?
Yeah, so I guess just wanted to say thank you for having us here today. It's been like a great opportunity. And finally, if you're interested in anything that we said about the programs or who we are at 2 to 3 degrees, or you're inspired by the amazing Serena, feel free to go on our website. It's 2 to 3 degrees, and you can email us at info@2 to 3 degrees. Feel free to get in touch, and we'll be there to help you achieve your potential.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Hopefully see you next time. If you liked what you saw today, please comment, like, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.